Hello, welcome to TypeScript Basics. In this part, we are going to look at modules. So, what is module? Module is like a container for your functions, classes, variables, constants, and etc. Modules create a new scope boundary. So, anything you create in a module is not visible outside unless you explicitly make them visible by exporting them using export keyword. You need to import anything exported by a module in order to use it. You'll do this using import keyword. Any file containing top level import or export keyword is a module in TypeScript. Okay, that's enough theory. Let's look at an example now. I have VS Code open here. I'm going to create a file called calculator.ts. Let me add a function called add. It's going to take two parameters a and b of type number, and it's going to return number. And within this function, simply I'm going to return the sum of a and b. Now, if I want to use this add function in main.ts file, I need to import it from calculator.ts. But before importing it, we need to make calculator.ts to export this function. Let's do that. We can make calculator to export this add function by simply placing export keyword in the beginning of this function. So now calculator file returns this function called add. Because we have top level export keyword in this file now, this file is a module, so it is a calculator module now. Back in main.ts file, I can import the add function using import keyword. The way you do this is by adding import keyword, and within the pair of braces you add the name of the export you want to import. So in this case it is add. Then you need to say where you are importing it from. We are importing it from calculator. You need to specify the relative path from the current file. Because the main and calculator are in the same folder, you just say /calculator. You don't need to include the file extension. Now we can use add function. So let me pass 10 and 20 and print the result using console.log. As you can see here, it prints the sum of 10 and 20. The function actually is coming from calculator module and we're just using it in the main.ts file. You can export variables, classes, constants, interfaces, etc. in the same way we exported add function in calculator.ts. You don't always have to export things as you create them. If you want, you can export them later. For example, I can remove this export keyword from here and export the add function at the end of this file using export keyword, and within the braces you just need to say the name of the exportable or exports that you want to export. In this case add. It's still same as how we have exported this add function previously, but with this method what you can do, you can also change the name of this export if you want. So let's say I want to change the name of this add export to something called sum. So I can do that here. Now back in the main.ts file, this add is not valid anymore because we are exporting the add function in the name of sum. So I can change this to sum, and here as well it should work. Similarly, if I want to change the name of this function while I'm importing it, I can do that using as keyword. So let's say I want to change this sum function to something called total within this file, then I can do that like this as total. So now if I change this to total, it will still work. If you have more than one items that you want to export, you can actually separate them using comma. So let me add another function called subtract here. Now I can export subtract like this. And similarly in the main.ts I can import more than one exports from calculator and separate them using commas. So I can add subtract here. So this will work. But you can also export all these exports while creating them. So I can change this to say export here and also here. So these have same effects actually. Name of the export is add now. We just need to change it to add here. So it's still same. If you want to sort of group the items you are importing from a module, then you can do that using star as. So let me explain what I mean by that. So let me remove this. So I can actually say star as calc, and then this calc is like a object. It has all the things exported by a calculator. So I can say calc dot add, and I can do that for subtract as well. You can also export exports imported from another module. For example, I can say here export star from calculator. So here what we are doing is we are just exporting all the things that we have in calculator module. We are not importing them into this file, we are just exporting them. This is called re-exporting exports. But if you want to use those exports coming from calculator in this file and also you want to export them, then first you need to import it. So let's say I'm going to say import add, and then if I want to export this add to any consumer of this main.ts module, then I can do that using export add. So what we are basically doing here is we are actually importing add function from calculator module, using that function in the main module, and then we are exporting the add function to any consumers of this main module. So that's what we are doing here. When exporting from a module, if you want to make one export as a default export, then you can do that using default keyword. So let me show you what I mean by that. So let's say we have two functions here, add and subtract, but I know that most of the time the consumers of this calculator module is going to use add. So if that is the case, then what I can do is I can actually make this add as a default export by using default keyword here. So now add is the default export from this calculator module. Back in main.ts, because add is a default export from calculator module, I don't need to have this braces. I can simply say add. So now I'm still importing add from calculator, but add is a default export in calculator module now. So I don't need the braces. I can simply import it like this. So it doesn't have any effect in terms of how we use it. We just import it differently, that's all. You can also import normal script file. If you import a script file, the code in the script file will be executed. So this is called side effect only import, because when the script run, it may cause some changes in the global scope. So let me show you what I mean by that. So let me go back to this calculator module and just have this add function without any export keyword. So now, because we don't have any import or export keyword at the top level, this is not a module. This is like a normal script. So within here, I'm just going to call this add function with 10 and 20, and I'm going to print the results. Back in main.ts, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove these two, and I'm going to simply import the calculator file like this. Now, if I run this, because calculator is a simple script file, the add function that we have in the calculator will be called, because we are actually calling it at the end of that file, and the result will be printed on the console. So if I run that, you can see here it prints 30. There are different types of module formats you can configure TypeScript to generate. So you do this by specifying module format in tsconfig.json. So within tsconfig.json, there is a module option, and here you can specify what type of module you want TypeScript to generate. So in this case, I have configured it to generate CommonJS. CommonJS is a module format used by Node.js. ECMAScript 2015 or ES6 has its own module format called ES6 that you can see here. And there are other module formats like AMD, System, UMD. AMD is a popular module format for web applications before ECMAScript 2015. System.js and UMD are two other modules that is supported by TypeScript. Modules are loaded by module loaders at runtime. They are usually provided by runtime. For example, Node.js, browser, or third-party libraries. TypeScript loads modules during compilation using one of its module resolution strategies. There are two strategies supported by TypeScript at the time of recording this video. They are Classic and Node. I'll cover how module resolution works in another video. That's it for now. Hope this is useful. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.